There's something about a new city that makes you feel like you could be anyone. No history, no baggage, no one who knew the version of you that cried in a parking lot at 2 in the morning because you didn't know who you were anymore. Zane had moved to the city 6 months ago for a fresh start. New apartment, new gym, new routine. He had everything organized exactly the way he liked it. And then, the apartment next door, the one that had been empty for 3 months, finally got a new tenant. It was a Tuesday morning. Zane was heading to the gym, bag over his shoulder, headphones around his neck, coffee in hand. He almost didn't notice. Almost. He was standing in the hallway, surrounded by boxes that were clearly too heavy for him. One had already tipped over. He was staring at it like he was deciding whether to be annoyed or just accept it as a sign. He had the kind of face that made you want to ask if he was okay. Zane told himself he was just being a good neighbor.
Hey, you need a hand?
Oh, no, I'm fine. Sorry, am I blocking the hallway?
A little, but it's okay.
It wasn't okay. The hallway was completely blocked. But for some reason, Zane didn't mind.
I'm Luca. I just moved in. Apartment 7B.
Zane, 7A.
Right across the hall. Of course. He missed the gym that morning. He told himself it was just the neighborly thing to do. He helped Luca carry 4 boxes into the apartment. They didn't talk much. Luca kept apologizing for the inconvenience. Zane kept telling him to stop apologizing. At some point, Luca laughed at something Zane said. A quiet, surprised laugh, like he hadn't expected Zane to be funny. That laugh did something strange to Zane's chest. He ignored it.
I know it's kind of bare right now. I just moved from a really small town, so I don't have much stuff yet.
It's got potential.
That's a nice way of saying it looks sad.
Zane smiled before he could stop himself.
I was going to say that next.
He left 20 minutes later, said goodbye, told Luca to knock if he needed anything. Standard neighbor stuff. He went back to his apartment, dropped his gym bag, and stood in his kitchen for a full minute, doing absolutely nothing. Then he made himself a coffee he didn't need, and tried to remember the last time a conversation with a stranger had felt that easy. 3 days passed. Zane saw Luca exactly twice in the hallway. Both times, Luca smiled that small, surprised smile like he wasn't used to people being friendly. Both times, Zane felt that strange thing in his chest, and both times he walked away faster than necessary. He was not thinking about his neighbor. He was absolutely not thinking about his neighbor. On the 4th night, Zane heard something through the wall. Not loud, not alarming, just a quiet sound that was somehow worse than something loud would have been. He stood on his side of the wall for 2 whole minutes. Then he walked across the hall and knocked.
Hey, sorry it's late. I heard something and wanted to make sure you were okay.
Luca stared at him for a moment. Then he laughed softly. But it was the tired kind of laugh. The kind that comes out when you've been holding too much.
I'm fine. Just being dramatic. Sorry if I was loud.
You weren't loud. I don't know. I wanted to check.
Luca looked at him for a long moment.
Do you want to come in? I have tea. If you want tea. You probably don't want tea.
I want tea.
He didn't want tea. He didn't even like tea. But he stepped inside anyway. They sat on opposite ends of Luca's half-furnished couch. The city hummed outside the window. Somewhere below, a car horn echoed and faded. Neither of them rushed to fill the silence. That surprised Zane. Most people couldn't handle silence. Luca seemed to live in it comfortably.
You don't have to tell me what happened.
I know. My ex texted me. It's stupid. We broke up 4 months ago and I thought I was over it. And then one text and suddenly I'm sitting on the floor of my kitchen.
That's not stupid.
He just wanted to know if I was okay. Which somehow made it worse. Because I wanted to say no. but I didn't.
Why didn't you?
Because he doesn't get to know that anymore.
Zane looked at him then. Really looked at him. At the way Luca held himself carefully, like someone who had learned very young to take up as little space as possible. Something about that made Zane quietly furious on his behalf.
For what it's worth, moving to a new city alone at 19 is not a small thing. Most people couldn't do it.
You did it.
I was 22, and I was terrified.
You don't seem like someone who gets terrified.
Everyone seems like that from the outside.
Luca was quiet for a moment. Then he looked at Zane with those expressive eyes and said something that Zane wasn't prepared for.
I'm really glad you knocked.
Zane didn't say anything for a moment. He wanted to say something casual, something easy, something that would put the right amount of distance between that moment and whatever was happening in his chest. Instead, he said,
Me too.
and he meant it in a way that scared him a little. They talked until almost 1 a.m. About the city, about bad exes, about the strange freedom of being somewhere nobody knew your name, about Luca's art. He sketched mostly. About Zane's soccer, semi-professional, hoping to go further. It was the kind of conversation that happens rarely, the kind where you look up and 2 hours have disappeared and you don't know how.
Get some sleep.
Yeah, you too. Zane?
Yeah?
Thank you for checking on me.
Zane nodded, went inside, closed the door, leaned against it in the dark for a moment, breathed. He didn't have a name for what he was feeling. He was good at not having names for things. He'd been good at it for a long time. But lying in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, he was very aware that the wall between his apartment and Luca's was thin, and that on the other side of it was someone who laughed like they were surprised by joy. He closed his eyes, told himself to go to sleep. His chest didn't get the message. The next morning, Zane opened his door at exactly 7:15 to head to training. Luca's door opened at exactly the same moment. They both stopped.
Hi.
Hi.
A beat of silence that lasted 1 second too long to be nothing.
I made too much coffee. If you want some before you go.
Zane was already late for training. His coach was extremely strict about punctuality. He had never once been late in 2 years.
Yeah, okay.
Luca's apartment smelled like coffee and something faintly sweet. A candle, maybe, or just him. Zane sat at the small kitchen counter while Luca moved around the kitchen with the easy, quiet comfort of someone who was most themselves in the morning. It was domestic in a way that should have felt strange. It didn't feel strange at all. That was the part that stayed with Zane all through training. His coach asked him 3 times if he was focused. He said yes every time. He was not focused. He was thinking about a 19-year-old boy with expressive eyes and an oversized hoodie who said thank you like he meant every syllable of it. Zane was in trouble. He just didn't know it yet. That evening, Zane stood at his door for a moment before going inside. Looked at 7B across the hall. The light was on underneath the door. He thought about knocking. He didn't. But he smiled to himself in the quiet hallway like an idiot. And that, right there, was how it started. He told himself it was just neighborly. He'd keep telling himself that. Until he couldn't anymore. Episode 2 is coming up soon. Can you guess what's going to happen? Watch it and find out.